I wanted to demo a piece of software that is not new. It's been around for a few years, although a couple of years back it went bankrupt, but has since been picked up by Imogen Heap in her HabLab company. And it is running on iOS for iPhone and iPad. There is no Android version. And if you hook up to their Discord, you can get the beta version of Mac and Windows. On iOS, it's $30, but you can download the betas on the Discord for free and check them out on desktop. So I find this software to be a great sketchpad tool where you can work with ideas and even arrange tracks if you wanted to. But an added benefit is that you can collaborate with other musicians anywhere in the world and create songs together and play music together. There have been numerous tracks that have been released using this software. And there's a playlist on Spotify, which I can link, that has all of these tracks that were created with this tool. So it's a pretty powerful piece of software that I like to use sometimes when I am, needing some inspiration, or, I'm getting stuck with ideas. It kind of keeps you in the flow and not overthinking. So it's a really great tool for that. So I just wanted to show you guys kind of an overview on how I use it, how it works. I'm not going to get too deep into it. If you want to get into it, there is the Discord, like I said, where you can get support and ask questions. So you can do that there if you want to try it and have some trouble setting it up. You do need a virtual audio interface to use this with the desktop version. If you are running it as a standalone, which I am using it as a standalone version, there is a VST option. You can use it inside of your DAW. I just prefer to use it standalone. So you can see that there are these little, what we call splats, and they're called riffs. And each riff has the option of having 8 tracks in each one. So basically what you are doing, you are inputting any sound that you want into this, and each time you create a loop, it's going to create one of these. So just to give you an idea of how this works, as I was going and entering more, you just kind of build more and more tracks. So you can turn them on and off. You can select them to add effects, which I'll show a little bit later. So all of this came from my own set of sounds that I use, but you do have access to onboard sounds with the app, which is great. There's downloadable sound packs. There's also onboard effects that you can use, and you can also use your own effects. But you use them after, they can only be used after you've committed the sounds into the program. So it's post. So to give you an idea, I'm going to just start from a blank slate. It also has link, which is great, so that you can stay in sync. You can add samples, you can play into it. It's, you can hook up a mic or a guitar or, hardware, whatever. So I am using a light pad to trigger certain things to make things happen in here. So you have these this bar area here, which is basically how the sound comes in and where you can define where you want to commit your loop. So I'm going to show you how that works. So I'm going to turn the metronome on just so I have something to lead me here. And let's see, we'll start. Let's see. So now you can hear that I've committed my loop, and there it is. And I'm just going to turn off the metronome. And then I'll add a pad. I'll add a bass. So what's great is you can play around before you even commit any sounds to the software. So I could just be like, and it's going to show me that it's there, and I can select it when I want. So I could just keep playing and then pick the area that where I'm going to commit. See if I can get some bass in. Then I'll add a sample percussive. And again, because I have link, my samples will be synced with what's happening in there. So I have like a nice little idea going. So I feel like this percussion is kind of crispy, so I'm gonna use the onboard effect to kind of give it some low pass. So you would select the track. You can select multiple ones to share the same effect if you want, but I'm just gonna do just the percussive element. And then it will record what I just did. So you can see that it just keeps rolling. So it's like a constant stream of music. And I can, maybe I want to get rid of the sequence that I just did and make a new riff and commit that. And then it will just be these. So if I go back one, the sequence is there. So you can also pull previous riffs up to the front and rework those too. Anything in your library, you have a journal here and you can select these. I could work on this if I wanted to. I could just hit commit and it would bring it forward, and I could work on it and change things if I wanted to do that. So that's the most recent one that I just did. So what's also great too is these can be dragged out into a DAW, and it will take all the individual stems with it when it brings it out. So you can work on it in a DAW further if you want. You could share them with people. You can kind of create your own sample library in here, which is really, really great. So I'll show you too with the external effects. Basically, these are things that I use frequently, but all you have to do is you would scan. You can scan for all of your plugins, and it will go through the process of scanning anything that you have, and you can use them in here. So just to give you an idea, let's play this. And I'll select the bass layer and we'll do So just like entering, the sound before, I can pick where I want it to add. And I can add another one. Like say maybe I want to put some, reverb on it. can keep affecting things and adding more things. You can mix things together. So it's a pretty powerful tool to really kind of break out of like the what do I do or how do I move forward kind of mindset. So I find it really helpful, especially if I'm, I open up a project and I don't really know what to do. And it's also great too if you end up using it with other musicians. You'll find people that you mesh well with and want to jam with. And, you can collaborate on stuff. It's a great way to add sounds, and then people can pull from those and, make something in their DAW, or the other person can do that too. So that's a really, I think, fun thing to do. So in order to do that, there are public jams, which means anybody can join. They're open to anybody. And these are always available. They switch them out every so often, and they're usually theme based. And there's always a beginner jam for people that, have never used it and don't know how to use it very well, or haven't used it very long, and they just, are kind of figuring it out. So it's great. You can go in here, and there will be people in here jamming sometimes. So you can see, give you an idea. So all of these are different people.
What does it mean to be strong? Did you help someone along? What does it mean to be strong?
So what's great is you can, jump in. Ooh, that's loud. And you can go back in the history and hear what people did. So I find that pretty cool. You can also make your own private jams, which means you can make them and invite people, and only the people that you invite will be able to access them. So I have several because I have different people that I like to jam with. I also have several like solo jams that are just me that I am using to work on stuff or, figure out and try out. So let's go back because I want to show, let's see. So basically, in addition to what I've just showed you, you can pick the key, the scale, the BPM, and the time signature that you want. And, you can map the MIDI, which is great. So you can have any, device that you want to map. And if you just press that button, you can map it to whatever you want. And that's really, really helpful. And you can save different MIDI mappings. So I would encourage you to pick it up, at the very least the beta, because they're free right now, and play around with it. There is a little bit of a learning curve. Things don't, work like you may expect. So, you kind of have to get a feel for it. But I find it to be a really great tool. So I will link the Discord. You can go and check it out. If you have questions, I'm on the Discord, so I'm happy to answer questions or help out in any way that, you may find you get stuck. So yeah, it's a fun tool. I would totally check it out and play around with it and see, what you can get out of it. And yeah, man, keep exploring. Definitely a great place to explore and experiment with stuff and play. So thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.